Have you ever wondered if a city could smell faintly of beer, diamonds, and secondhand philosophy all at the same time? No? Well, Antwerp does, and here we are. The city that doesn't apologize for existing. Antwerp is not Belgium's capital, but it behaves like it is. Brussels has the politics, Bruges has the tourists, Ghent has the students, but Antwerp has attitude. The kind of attitude that makes you believe it could start a band with just a kazoo and still headline Glastonbury. It's a port city, one of the biggest in the world. People here have been trading for centuries: spices, fabrics, diamonds, gossip. The Scheldt River carried it all in and carried out whatever was left over. You can still feel that restless current in the air, like the city is secretly planning its next scheme, and schemes it had. Antwerp was once the richest city in Europe, until it wasn't. Wars, blockades, bad luck. But instead of crying about it, Antwerp shrugged, lit a cigarette, and carried on. That's the spirit of the city, a refusal to apologize for existing. A giant's hand and a very convenient backstory. If you've ever noticed the city logo as a hand and thought, well, that's a bit lazy, you'd be right. But there's a story. According to legend, a giant named Antigone used to live by the Scheldt River. He taxed boats unfairly, like an ancient version of a parking meter. If sailors refused, he'd cut off their hand and toss it into the river. Then came Silvius Brabo, a Roman soldier with too much free time. He killed Antigone, chopped off his hand, and threw it into the water. Handwarp and hand-throwing became Antwerpen. That's the origin story. Simple, booty, surprisingly efficient. It's one of the only times in history where dismemberment improved tourism branding. The Diamond District sparkles in suspicion. Antwerp handles 80% of the world's rough diamonds. Think about that. Every second, somewhere in the world, a marriage proposal relies on Antwerp. It's the Tinder of geology. But here's the strange part. The Diamond District looks less glamorous than you'd expect. Instead of glittering palaces, you get small shops, heavy doors, and security cameras blinking like nervous eyes. Deals worth millions are sealed in cramped offices with cheap coffee and fluorescent lighting. The district is also one of the most heavily guarded places in Europe. The police presence is so tight that trying to jaywalk here feels like committing grand larceny. And yet, in 2003, Antwerp was the site of one of the largest diamond heists in history, over 100 million stolen without a single alarm going off. It was called the heist of the century, proof that even the most secure vault can't protect you from someone who brings sandwiches and patience. Food that fights back. Belgium is famous for fries, waffles, and beer. But Antwerp has its own peculiar menu. Bollica, a beer brewed by de Koning, served in a round glass that looks like it belongs in a medieval chemistry set. It's not just a beer, it's a handshake in liquid form. Hanges, small hand-shaped cookies or chocolates, a cheerful reminder of that time a giant was mutilated. Paling int groen, eel stewed in green herbs. It tastes like someone challenged parsley to a duel and lost. Locals will tell you food here isn't just eaten, it's debated. Fries, for example. In Antwerp, they'll insist the secret is frying them twice. The first fry cooks the potato. The second fry cooks your faith in humanity. Rubens, Baroque extraordinaire. Antwerp's golden boy is Peter Paul Rubens, painter, diplomat, and general overachiever. His house still stands in the city, and walking through it feels like scrolling through an Instagram account before Instagram was invented. Angels, saints, voluptuous figures, all oil-painted in dramatic poses that scream, "Yes, I do Pilates." Rubens wasn't just a painter, he was a brand. His works shaped European art, influenced politics, and even the way people thought about beauty. He turned Antwerp into a cultural epicenter. The city has been name-dropping him ever since. Satirically, though, if Rubens were alive today, he'd probably run a TikTok channel called Big Baroque Energy. The train station that pretends it's a cathedral. Antwerp Central Station has been voted one of the most beautiful train stations in the world. It looks less like a transport hub and more like a cathedral where trains come to confess their sins. Marble floors, gold details, a dome that makes you feel like you're trespassing in God's foyer. Travelers step off the train expecting baggage claim, but instead find themselves whispering out of respect. The station survived 2 world wars and multiple renovations. And unlike most stations, pigeons here seem oddly well-behaved. Suspiciously well-behaved. Hidden cellars, strange tunnels, and the city below. Beneath Antwerp lies a forgotten network of cellars and medieval sewers called the Ruin. Once open-air waterways, they became underground when the smell became unbearable. Now, adventurous tourists can take a guided tour through them. It's damp, dark, and strangely poetic, like reading Kafka in a basement. You walk past centuries-old brickwork, eerie echoes, and the occasional graffiti tag left by someone who couldn't resist. The tunnels once carried everything from wastewater to secrets. Merchants, smugglers, maybe even lovers all used these paths. Today, they carry tourists armed with helmets and smartphones. Progress, in a way. A zoo that refuses to retire. Smack in the middle of the city sits one of the oldest zoos in the world, Antwerp Zoo, founded in 1843. It's so old that some of the enclosures look like they were designed by people who'd only ever seen animals in paintings. And yet the zoo has adapted. It houses over 7,000 animals and is a major center for conservation. Flamingos strut around like unpaid extras in a Wes Anderson film. Elephants roam with the patience of philosophers. And penguins, well, penguins always look like they're on their way to a very small funeral. The cathedral and its towering silence. The Cathedral of Our Lady dominates Antwerp's skyline. It took 169 years to build, which is roughly the same time it takes Belgium to form a government. Inside, you'll find Rubens paintings, elaborate altars, and ceilings that seem to stretch forever. The tower rises 123 meters high, reminding everyone that, once upon a time, religion competed with commerce for the tallest bragging rights. Outside, tourists pose for photos while locals hurry past, because when you've seen something every day for 20 years, even a 14th century masterpiece becomes that big church near the waffle shop. Antwerp, the unfinished story. Antwerp is not a city you visit. It's a city that visits you. It sneaks into your memory like a catchy song you can't explain. The streets whisper trade secrets, the river carries old myths, and the buildings lean ever so slightly toward the absurd. It's a place that constantly reinvents itself without ever forgetting the hand it was dealt, literally. So the next time someone asks you where to go in Belgium, skip the safe answers. Tell them Antwerp. And if they ask why, just smile and say, because it's the only city where cutting off a giant's hand turned into excellent chocolate marketing. If you enjoyed wandering through Antwerp's myths, tunnels, and slightly suspicious food choices, hit that like button before a pigeon does it for you. Subscribe for more journeys where history and satire hold hands, and maybe throw them into a river.